So the idea about a guru, she asked me yesterday if I would talk a little bit about the guru. Honestly, it's something that I've been contemplating my whole adult life. And it's deep. And yeah, I could talk about a lot of stories, and there are lots of stories to be told. I mean, those that met Baba, to spend any time around him at all, well, their life is a story of transformation, because that's what Baba was about. His mission on this earth was to awaken. That was very simply his exclusive mission. Baba was, he talked and he taught, but the talking and everything that he did was simply all about focusing on what was his being, which was to awaken. That's what he received from Bhagwan Nityananda, was the awakening, the most precious gift that a human being can have. And I did a lot of reading in those days. Before I met Baba, I had already gone to India searching for the guru. I knew that I wanted a guru. I was very clear about it. I went to India when I was 19 years old. I was studying Tibetan Buddhism at that time. And I had read Ram Dass's book, Be Here Now. I read about Neem Karoli Baba, and I said, I need to meet a guru like that. Anybody that could take 300 hits of acid and still be the same, that was my guru. So I didn't go to Neem Karoli Baba's place. I went to Nepal and all over Southeast Asia, but I never found what I was looking for. I was initiated in a number of different traditions, spent a lot of time in monasteries, but nothing satisfied me. I had a very high idea about what I wanted. The kind of guru that I wanted, I knew it was here on this planet, but I didn't know where. But I had a tremendous amount of faith from my Catholic background. So, it was there. And I just had faith. And I just stayed open. And then one day I saw a picture of Baba in a restaurant in Ann Arbor about a month before he came to America. It said, Swami Muktananda arrives in America on some date in April. I went to Boston thinking he was coming with Ram Dass, and then I drove down to Florida, packed all my stuff, everything I had, put it into a pickup truck, and started driving to California as fast as I could. And I arrived in this little house. Actually, it was a pretty big house in Piedmont. It was Don Harrison's house. And Baba had just arrived a couple of days before. And I walked in the door, and David Pierce greeted me. And I said, came to see Swami Muktananda, Baba. It's okay, just stand over here. He's coming down the stairs, going out to his first lecture. He was going to a lecture that Warner Earhart had sponsored. Warner was very instrumental in bringing Baba to America at that time. And so I just waited. And then about 15 or 20 minutes later, he comes down the stairs. And he was moving fast. If you've ever been around Baba, he was extremely fast. Everything was fast. There was nothing in slow motion about Baba, particularly in those days. He was supercharged. I mean, we were all in our, teens and 20s, and he was wearing us out. I mean, as we stayed with him over the period. So anyway, to continue this story, everybody got up. Of course, we bowed, and then he was going out the door. We got up, started walking behind him, and I just followed everybody else. I didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden, Baba stopped. He turned around, like I said, he's as fast as lightning. Turned around, next thing I know, I'm standing there like this far away from Baba, looking at him straight in the eyes. He looks at me, and this time David's talking as fast as he can. He came from Gainesville to meet you, Baba. And that's when he turned around, and Noni's translating, and Baba looks at me and he goes, slaps me in the face like this, grabs me around the neck, pulls me in, says, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh, he says, you going to the program tonight? I said, yes. And the next morning, of course, we came in, I think it was about 4 o'clock. We started meditating in the morning in the living room there, and Baba would come in about 4:30 and walk around and touch everybody. And of course, the place was just alive at that time. I mean, Baba was so full of energy, so full of Shakti. It was amazing. And I happened to sit next to this guy. It was a Puerto Rican guy, became Swami Shantananda, and he was making all these noises and just making all kinds of sounds and stuff, and his hands were going. I'm thinking, this is not the kind of meditation I'm used to. So anyway, that's kind of the way it was. I spent, we spent about 6 months there on the East Coast, and Baba really did wear us out. He would travel every night to a lecture and meet people, usually 3 or 4 hours away. We'd drive up, drive back. Baba wouldn't, I don't know if he slept more than an hour or two. We were struggling, trying to keep up with him. And we were just wringing us out. So those are the kind of stories that, we could tell a lot of stories. And I only have a few minutes here, so I really want to focus on the most important pieces of, the almost 50 years that I've been involved in spiritual work, and almost 45 years with Baba, something like that. Gurudev knows more of the dates and everything. He keeps the dates better than I do. But for me, the significance was the big period, the big change and the shift was when Baba took Mahasamadhi. And that was, we never really thought that Baba was not going to be here. I mean, you don't think like that, I mean, Baba was bigger than life. I mean, literally bigger than life. And you just never thought that one day, even though we saw, and in retrospect, there's been a lot of reflection, of course, over the years. We saw, of course, he was through multiple heart attacks, and some that were announced and some that weren't. I realize now, having had a stroke myself, what they're like. And he just kept charging forward because his only mission was to awaken people. And he wanted to be with people. And his main specialty was the touch. If Baba touched you, that was all it took. One touch. But of course, as I learned later, and we started to understand, it wasn't just the touch. It was the deep teachings. And for me, it was the mantra. After Baba took Mahasamadhi, I was here doing the work in America at that time, and immediately flew to India as soon as I got the news. And they had held up for us to get there, a few of us to get there before they started the final ceremony. And actually, it was Gurudev and myself that were the last human beings to touch Baba, his physical body, as we put him into the Samadhi shrine. And I remember looking across at Gurudev, and I don't think we even made eye contact. He was so absorbed in what was happening. Now, he was a young person. We were both young boys. I think I was, mid-20s, and he was barely 20. And this was the most traumatic time and experience of our lives. And this is what is hard for people to understand. he raised me. I didn't have a father, really. My father left when I was 13 years old. And I left home when I was 15, much like Baba did. And when I found Baba, he recognized me. And I recognized him. And he raised me just like he did Gurudev. Gurudev's parents took care of Baba when he was wandering around India. They were disciples of Bhagwan Nityananda. When Bhagwan Nityananda took Mahasamadhi, they realized everything that Nityananda had was embodied in Baba. So there we were, just as two boys, taking the final rites and going through the whole process. But to be honest and to be fair, we were in shock. And we were in shock for a number of years. Though we continued to function, Gurudev did his role, played his role as the guru. But we were all in shock, complete shock. And it took me quite a number of years to really understand this and to really get my arms around this and to start to unpack it. And over the last 10 or 15 years, I've really been working through the release of that trauma as I've been merging more and more into the vibrational field of the Guru. Because the Guru, yes, is the physical form, but the Guru is a principle. It is a vibrational field. And as you deepen your sadhana, you'll start to understand this more and more. If you work with the mantra and you work deeply with the mantra and with the teachings, every day of my life I study the teachings and the words of the Guru. That's what I do every day. I study them. I've read the books 100 times, all of them. I live in a library, virtual library. All Baba's books, all the books in Shaivism, all the books of our tradition, of all the saints that Umesh sings so beautifully about and writes about. I just surround myself with the vibrational field of Baba. Because that's all there is. That's all there ever has been in my whole life. And as I reflected and watched Gurudev go through his healing process, through all the challenges and difficulty that he went through, I watched him grow in stature, deep spiritual depth. And it took a long time. I took his leave at one point and went back out into the world. But the bond that we had through Baba endured for my whole life. And finally, after I had done enough processing of this through deep meditation, long meditation, I finally had cleared enough that I could circle back around and again come back and meet Gurudev. And what I experienced is why I'm here now. Because he opened his arms, embodying the complete teachings of our Gurudev with love and respect. He opened his arms and he welcomed me with deep love and respect. And that's why I'm here now. Because what I see in him is exactly what I saw in Baba. He is the living embodiment of Baba's teachings. He breathes it, he thinks about it, and contemplates it every day. This is what I feel. We don't have to talk. We don't have to talk. I don't have to ask him any questions. Bhagwan Nityananda said, if you have a question for the Guru, just simply meditate. All your questions will be answered. Bhagwan Nityananda didn't speak much. He didn't have to speak. His presence was there. It's very much like Gurudev. It's no accident that Baba named him Nityananda. He doesn't have to speak a lot. He's become quite eloquent speaker, though, I would say. But he doesn't have to speak. It's not about that. It's about the presence. And what I saw and found in him is that truth principle. How you know truth is when what you say, what you think, and how you act are all in synchronicity. And that's Gurudev. He doesn't say one thing and think another thing and do another thing. He doesn't do that. And that's where the power comes. He knows what his mission is. He knows what his dharma is. He's rock solid about that. And if you come here and you spend time with him, you will experience that yourself in your own heart. You'll experience what Devyani experiences, what's the lady's name? Janavi, yes. That heart, that crying, yeah. I don't think I cried. I can't remember crying when Baba took Mahasamadhi. I was in too much shock. But right now, I'm fighting back the tears. And my wife will tell you that I fight the tears back, but I don't fight them. I let it go because I understand what it is. It's the heart opening. And as you continue your sadhana, the heart continues to open. And there's no pride in holding a straight, stiff upper lip, so the British used to say. There's no pride in that. It's about having that heart open. That's what you live for. So, yes, the Guru is the principle and is all pervasive. But there's nothing more powerful or full of the Guru and the Guru's grace than the physical Guru himself. So we have a tremendous opportunity. Fortunately, Gurudev is young. We have lots of time that we can spend with him. I strongly encourage you to spend as much time as you can, and I hope to do the same. Jai Gurudev. Sadgurunath Maharaj.